The Francis Cabot Lowell Mill Chimney is a 150-foot tall structure located along the Charles River in Waltham, Massachusetts. The mill was built starting in 1814 as the first integrating spinning and weaving factory in America for manufacturing cotton textiles. The 100-plus-year-old chimney is no longer in service, but is recognized as a National Historic Landmark. Due to the age of the chimney, the mortar joints and brick were significantly deteriorated and in need of restoration. PULLMAN was contracted as the general contractor to work alongside the owner and engineer, Simpson, Gumpertz, and Hager. The main objective was to help in preserving the chimney by performing pointing of roughly 90% of the chimney mortar joints, replacing deteriorated brick, and masonry cleaning.
COVID came into play a lot on that job. The way I worked the project, I wanted to keep everybody safe, clean. We had a good washing station set up. Our porta-johns, we upped the schedule on them of cleaning. And then we implemented on site some of what we thought worked best for us on site.
In our frontline calls and our safety calls with the team, stayed in touch with them, more frequently than generally we probably do, just from a safety standpoint, just to touch base on, anything that was changing on site versus anything that we had going around regionally and keeping everybody up to speed.
Like all jobs, having an exclusion zone and maintaining it and creating awareness of what you're doing overhead on the structure is important. The project team had to be diligent about replacing barriers and, just making the community aware of, hey, we're working overhead and you gotta pay attention to that.
We had 3 or 4 visits from one of the city officials, and every time he come out, he talked like he was impressed at how we had everything clean. The boardwalk, he was really impressed with the boardwalk. He had made numerous statements that he was really surprised that we weren't shut down, I guess. And his past experience with contractors coming into the area and working for the city, that the city officials like to come out and if they find something wrong, they're quick about shutting the project down. So he was really surprised that we didn't get shut down one time over.
This was actually a Detroit project before Kansas City got a hold of it. It was a very successful transfer.
They did a great job estimating the project and working with the client up front, and the handoff went seamlessly with our project manager, Rodney. We had some planning meetings and a handoff meeting up front, but with COVID going on, Mike and Ronnie did a great job communicating over the phone and via email, keeping up with the communications with the engineer and the owner.
And there were a lot of inspections by the engineer involved at each bracket scaffold elevation. But I think as we kind of worked our way down the chimney and developed that trust between us and the engineer, it just went smoothly from there.
I was sending pictures in, not holding anything back. They would come back at me and say, hey, maybe we could do this a little different, and it helped.
Yeah, and Mike was great. Anytime that he found something, he gave me a call, he gave Matt from our office a call, just kept us both in the loop pretty intimately. He gave us his best thoughts on where he thought he was headed, how he was going to shift crews and jump scaffolding levels, and so on and so forth. So that line of communication, without having to wait for it to go through your head office to come to us, we understood that things needed to be vetted and reviewed, but if we could get that early on review from the boots on the ground, it was very helpful for us to manage the project on our end. It was just, there were so many circumstances with this particular project that presented new challenges that really none of us have ever really dealt with.
This was old world chimney maintenance. It took someone that knew exactly how to put a scaling ladder up and jump a bracket scaffold atop the chimney.
The structure was unique in that it had a inverted taper at the top, so that created some challenges. We have a device that we've developed, a bracket scaffold that really works on tension and works well on regular taper structures. This job, we had an inverted taper and we had to engineer some pins to allow that cable to be tightened, and then really work with the ladder system to make sure that the ladders were sloped correctly when the guys had to get up to that tapered section.
The top of the chimney was in worse condition than we expected. We ended up having to take off the top 5 feet. We were putting a scaffold around the top of the chimney, and there was areas that brick were dislodged, and we went ahead and got scaffold up to protect the boardwalk and pedestrians below. And we actually came in the next morning and found that brick had actually come off of the chimney onto the scaffold.
We realized that it was basically crumbling and it needed a complete rebuild at that top bell. So that was a pretty significant challenge, and we had to shift gears and work together to come up with our best guess at pricing. So we all had to work together pretty closely to watch the production rates of the crew and how fast things were going, because that was a double six-figure change order on this already expensive project. But it worked out well. We kept the communication lines open.
So there was a lot of information to track as far as all the brick that was being replaced and the tuck pointing that was involved. So we had a lot of involvement with the engineer, and then we also kept up with a daily production tracker, which was a lot of information that we got from the field guys to kind of make sure that we were on track as far as our production goals, and then just relaying the completed quantities to the engineer.
We had a very sharp eye on progress between Mike in the field and us watching the numbers, and you as well back in your office. So all in all, it worked out well. We came up with a durable solution that should last decades.
The Jeremy Award in itself is very special to us here in Kansas City. Jeremy was a long-term employee. I think everybody knows that Kansas City started off as a project manager. Bringing the award back to Kansas City is very personal for us, but again, we're glad to be able to share in his legacy.
Jeremy was our friend and well respected in the office. He and I had a personal relationship outside the office. We were good friends. He always looked at the technical side and asked questions of engineering related to his role as a safety manager, to make sure that he had the right information to help guide our group and teams to making correct choices for everyone's safety.
We definitely miss Jeremy, and it's good to bring a part of him back.
Well, I always had great times with Jeremy. We had a lot of great memories during hunting season.
Jeremy was like a brother. He was fair to everybody. I really had a lot of respect for Jeremy. In my mind, I'm bringing Jeremy back closer to his family.
Hi, I'm Kristen Jeffers, and I am Jeremy Jeffers' wife. I am so thankful for everything the entire company, structural group, and now PULLMAN office obviously has done for our family and what they do in regards to the safety program here. Jeremy was so passionate about safety and about the company and keeping it on the right track, and what an honor it is for the award to be back here in Kansas City. I know the guys have worked hard for it, and he would be so proud of everyone that was involved.